Live. 3, 2, 1. We're almost there. Hey friends, welcome back to another live session. What we're going to do today is talk about some live questions that came up during our blood work masterclass live last week in Texas. We had two events, one in Austin, one in Dallas, over 90 people combined between those two events. So I wanted to address some things that came up and help answer some questions. And then we're going to talk about intermittent fasting questions that have come up. Also talk about food cravings. There's a phenomenal question. We're going to get into ice bath therapy. We're also going to talk about sauna therapy, whether or not you should be using deodorant or not. And we're also going to address a common controversial questions about eggs and fake eggs. Should you be having mung beans with canola oil or having real eggs? There's a new product out, relatively new, called Just Eggs that has water, mung bean extract, canola oil, tetrasodium phosphate, something or other. There's a lot of crazy ingredients in there. And this generated some controversy over on Instagram. So thank you for being here, friends. Let's get to our first of many questions. Okay, this is from Clara. Claire says, and I'm going to have to read in here. Claire says, I was at your talk last night at the Sapien Center. It was excellent. Thank you. Do you have a podcast, video, etc., with your supplement list that you take? I would be very interested in that. As I take supplements and I want to know that I'm taking the right stuff. My family already uses your electrolyte 6, and I'm going to purchase a DHEA for my husband, who is now, they're both in their 50s. So, gosh, there's something on my screen that I can't read all that. Come on, get this. Anyway, so she goes on to say, I kept running into your daughter last night and she was eating the fruit bowl and we just love bananas, etc. So questions about supplements. Well, what are the supplements that you should be considering? This is the question that you want to know. Yes, maybe some people are just a little bit curious about what supplements I take, but you want to know what you should be taking, and that's why I recommend blood work. You should be doing blood work, friends, at least once every 1 to 2 years. Maybe if you're perfectly healthy, you don't need to take it every year. Do a blood Chem 24 CBC with iron, ferritin, DHEA, and vitamin D. But I think it's helpful to run some labs. And so this is what I suggest starting off with, because when it comes to supplements, if you have metabolic health issues, if you have insulin resistance, if you have PCOS, if you have belly fat, that's important to address. And so we want to address those questions. If you have low testosterone, low DHA, that's another consideration. If you're trying to have children, that's a different conversation. So I think it's good to personalize, and that's why I will link below links to our blood work masterclass. We are doing this live again this winter. We're going to address your questions. We have 2 live calls during the month of January. We're also going to talk about nutrition, fasting, diet, exercise, all of these personalization strategies. In that course, I will put links below. Our first call is going to be on January 2nd. So definitely tune into that. Okay, but what are some general supplements? Okay, since it's winter as we record this video live on Tuesday, the 12th of December, and again, friends, if you're here live, thanks for that like button. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to get to your questions very, very soon. We have a funny comment that we're going to get to with regard to masking that I think you might enjoy. So, some things you got to consider. Vitamin D and vitamin K2 combination. Okay. Now, you know my biases. We sell dietary supplements. And I will tell you that this is one of the best D3 K2 combinations. It's called Essential Fatty Nutrients. Essential Fatty Nutrients. That's a daily driver for me. I take that before bed every night. Another non-negotiable for me is taking DHEA before bed. I recommend for men 10 milligrams per decade of life. Women take 75% less than that. Okay, so a 40-year-old woman might consider taking 10 milligrams if and only if they test and find that the levels are low. Who should not take DHEA? Insulin-resistant people. If you have PCOS and you're an insulin-resistant woman, you should not take DHEA. Why is that? Well, because you already have high DHEA levels. Part of the diagnostic criteria for polycystic ovarian syndrome includes high levels of androgens. This is why it's good to test before you start taking supplements willy-nilly. So we talked about vitamin D, vitamin K2 combination. We talked about DHEA. Another thing that I love to take is an adrenal thyroid extract in the morning. It's a good way to kickstart your body's circadian clock system. It helps wake you up. These are just glandular extracts I'm a big fan of. I know some people don't take that seriously enough, but I think these are very helpful. I also take, again, this is my bias, but from Myoscience, I take the morning wood. This is a bovine testicular extract. It works, my friends. I am telling you, this stuff works, at least for me and many other people. We have, I don't know, some 50 some odd reviews of this formula. We don't talk about it very often. It works. I take this in the morning and at night, twice a day. Okay. Now, and then I take electrolytes. This is our creatine electrolyte combination. A little known fact here, a lot of people don't recognize that many of the popular electrolyte products feature Morton's table salt, pixie dust levels of magnesium, and a little potassium. That's it. You're paying $40 a month for Morton's salt and literally pixie dust of potassium magnesium. The electrolyte sticks feature creatine. Creatine is very involved in supporting muscular hydration, cellular hydration on the muscle level. Muscles are important, my friends. You need muscles no matter what your age. No matter what your goals are, muscle is the site for glucose disposal. Independent of other factors, muscle mass and strength predict and protect you from all-cause mortality, from dying. You want to support your muscle mass. You want to have good workouts. Having a good workout is important for feeling good, for having low blood sugar, for keeping inflammatory tone down. So that's why I take the electrolyte sticks every day. That's pretty much all I take. Now, there's other things that I'll sprinkle in there. If you're feeling sick, lethargic, I might crank up the iodine. I might add more zinc into the mix. But those are just the basics. I might throw in probiotics. But those are the basics. I'm not one of these people that recommends loads of supplements. So Clara, I really appreciate the question. And again, the levels of DHEA and the levels of other things should be determined by blood work. It's important to run labs to see where your levels are at with these different things. Okay? Great question. Let's get to a funny question about masking. Okay, this was really interesting. I know a lot of you are just amused by all the COVID hysteria. Okay, now, as we've talked about before, influenza is taking over COVID with regards to its disease severity and overtaking it in terms of hospitalizations. Only 5% of the hospitalizations right now in the United States of America are from COVID. They're not from it's a small percentage. Influenza, RSV, and other common endemic viruses have overtaken COVID. Okay, so when I posted a picture of people wearing masks outside in Texas yesterday, these people happened to be on my plane going to Seattle. I irritated some people. They said, "My gosh, Mike, masks work." Oh, really? Do they? How come then during the summer of 21 and during the winter of 2022, when mask mandates were in full effect nationwide, did we see record numbers of cases all throughout? You're talking LA, New York, Seattle, Oregon, Illinois, areas where people were zealots about masks. Why did we see record numbers of cases in all of those major metropolitan areas where you couldn't even go into a coffee shop without wearing a mask? College kids need to wear masks in those areas. And she said, well, people aren't wearing it right, which is exactly my point. People wear the masks outdoors when they're checking their baggage to get on an airplane, and then they take it off and drink Sprite and soda on the airplane. It's like, friends, if you're that concerned, don't drink the Sprite on the airplane. Keep your mask on if you really believe it's going to be doing anything for you. In fact, new research shows that we have dramatically increased the population level of single-use plastic and waste. These masks, just during the year, I have to lean in here. This was a recent report. 1.6 billion disposable masks have been entering the ocean since 2020. Or actually, this is just during the year 2020. So remember when we had to ban straws. The straws were the devil. Oh my gosh. And we are making such progress by banning straws. Remember that? It was a few years ago in New York and San Diego. Oh my gosh, these people you're saving the planet by banning straws. And then we made everyone wear a disposable face mask. And all of the people that are still wearing them, I guarantee you they care about the environment, will start to show you care by not wasting so much single-use plastic. These masks are made out of plastic microfibers. When you're inhaling them, those microfibers are getting into your lungs, into your bloodstream possibly, and then they end up in the trash. They end up in the ocean. These are filling up landfills, my friends. So because COVID is now so benign, you can probably take the masks off. And actually what she said is, she says, oh, I agree with what you stated about the dramatic increase in plastic waste from the masks. She actually agreed with me. She said, you know what? Initially, she was, sort of combative, saying, how dare you say that people shouldn't be wearing these masks outside and so forth. And then she kind of calmed down and said, I actually kind of agree. People aren't wearing them right, and they're causing a lot of destruction to the environment. Okay. Let's talk about when to go in an ice bath. I was forwarded this, and this was a question from a buddy of mine in Texas. And he says, hey, Mike, I'm thinking about getting into cold immersion therapy, and I want to know when the best time to go in the ice bath. When should I do this? I heard that if you do an ice bath before you exercise, that it increases testosterone. Okay. First thing I will say, cold immersion therapy, it might increase testosterone. I think the benefits of cold immersion therapy are that it improves blood flow by causing the blood to be returned from your periphery, from your extremities, from your head to the core. And then as you warm up, that blood is then recirculated. So it's a massage for your blood and lymph, which is good. But I do not, and I will repeat this, I do not recommend taking a cold plunge before you exercise. Not a good idea. Why is that? When you exercise, you want a warm body. You do not want to be freezing cold, and you can actually maybe harm yourself. And moreover, being cold reduces the muscle protein synthesis process, which is what you want around exercise. So please, my friends, some people might say, and this was an article, I guess Joe Rogan said, by doing cold plunges before exercise, he increases testosterone. I'm not going to recommend that, for the reasons I just mentioned. And let me get to your questions in a moment, friends. And again, thank you for being here live. Thanks for the like button. Thanks for sharing this video if you find this might be helpful for other people. And if we should continue to do, because people send me direct messages and I love them. It's great, but it doesn't benefit everyone. We have 602,000 some odd subscribers. So I'm going to take screenshots. I'm going to delete out and anonymize people. And on Mondays, we're going to talk about it. So what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Okay. So remember, just to recap, do cold plunges, just not around exercise. Do a cold bath in the morning, do a cold bath before bed, do it after you go in the sauna, not before exercise, not right after. It does decrease muscle protein synthesis. Okay, this is a friend from, this is a comment from a nurse, something or other. I muted out his name. He says, Mike, thank you for all the information. I'm sure you've been over this before, but would like to know what you recommend on the ratios between the omega-3 and omega-6 fats in the body. Okay, so good question. Generally like to avoid omega-6 oils, okay? The oils are highly oxidizable. I don't think they're the devil. A lot of people make egregious claims about the seed oils. But what I think is important is to recognize that we should have our omega-3 index over 8%. We happen to sell an at-home test kit through Omega Quant over at our website, myoscience.com. I think it's important to test your omega-3 index. I really do. Most people think their omega-3 index is higher than it really is, and having more omega-3s will help to neutralize the oxidation of the omega-6 fats. I know this is controversial. People say omega-3s are toxic. Oh my gosh, they don't become oxidized like everyone says, especially if you get a good brand, okay? The omega-3 index is how you can enumerate and estimate your body's balance between omega-3s and omega-6s. So that's what I would suggest for this individual, is avoiding the oils of the omega-6s and testing your levels. It's a $49 test. You do it once a year, big deal. And see where your levels are at. Okay, great question. Okay. Kalia says, hey, Mike, happy Sunday. Recently saw your amazing interview with Lewis Howes. You mentioned a liquid ketone you were taking in the morning, and I was wondering if you could help me share which brand it was. Well, it's from this brand, Ketone Aid. I happen to be drinking one of their hard ketone seltzers. This is an ethanol-free alcohol. It's very ketogenic. I take this in the evening just for fun. It tastes good, especially in December and January when the nights are long. You know, there's a little carbonation here. It's an alcohol-free ethanol. It's relaxing. There's only 75 calories. But Ketone Aid is the company. That's what I take for exogenous ketones. I appreciate the question. Great question. Levi says, hey, Mike, I've been looking up reverse osmosis systems, and I'm not sure what brand to recommend to buy. You recommend to buy. Do you have any info? Yes, the company is called Custom Pure Water Filters. Okay. And you got to look in your area. I mean, because water is so different in various parts of the world. For example, the water in LA is very hard. It's very dense. There's a lot of particulate in LA. So your water filter in LA might be different from the water filter that you might want to get if you live in Seattle or if you live in, Salt Lake City, Utah. But Custom Pure is the brand that I recommend. They do a 2-stage filtration process, which is a resin filter and a carbon filter. 2-stage carbon filter, 2-stage resin filter. Now, water filters are important, no doubt, because your water is a top source of endocrine disrupting chemicals, heavy metals, municipal waters loaded with fluoride and chloride, not what you want, okay? So invest in your health. The other thing that you can do, and I did this for years, literally 9 years, our family took glass water bottles to our natural food store every week, filled it up with reverse osmosis purified water. Okay, that's how dedicated we are to this. And I think it's paying off in terms of our family's health and well-being. So now last year I purchased an underwater system, under the sink system, and that's been a great investment. Okay. This was a question from Katie. Katie says, unrelated, but how can we overcome intense sugar cravings? Okay. Well, stop eating sugar. I know that sounds so basic, but when you fuel the monster by having sugar and crackers and cookies and all of the treats, guess what? It feeds the monster and you start to crave more of what you've been eating. Eat protein. Start your day off with protein. Not right away, but in the morning, your first meal, make sure that you're having sufficient protein. Try to aim for, especially if you're physically active, about 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. If you're 300 pounds and you want to be at 220, have 220 grams of protein per day. If you're currently 180 pounds, but you want to get down to 120, aim for 120 grams of protein per day. It's hard to really start to crave sugar and Pop-Tarts and cookies and things like that when you're hitting your protein targets and you're eating real food. Another simple tool is to eat mindfully. If you're going to have little sweets, little ice cream, little cookies, little crackers, cake, things like that, put it on a plate, put a small amount on, serve it to yourself at the table. Don't sit there in the cupboard or in the freezer eating out of the ice cream container. You're going to overeat and then you're going to have more cravings. Okay, so that's very helpful. Eat with friends and family. Chew. Believe it or not, scientists have figured this out. About 45 bites per swallow. So, take 1 bite per minute is about what it comes out to. Okay. Another thing that you can try is berberine hydrochloride. And we created the berberine fasting accelerator over at Myoscience. This has been very effective. 2 to 3 capsules with a major meal or shortly after a major meal can really help curb those cravings. So that's another tool. And that's why I recommended to Katie those 3 things. Okay. Jason says, hey, Mike, longtime follower of yours, and I just saw your interview with Sean Stevenson. We talked about infertility, low testosterone. I will link that below. That was a phenomenal discussion that just got posted today. It's already the top 40 episodes that have been downloaded in the US, so it's a great podcast. And Jason says, you stopped using deodorant in 2016. If you do an infrared sauna consistently to detox, is that what allows your body to not smell bad when sweating, even without deodorant? Thanks in advance. Jason, love the question. Thanks for tuning into that podcast episode. And yeah, I think it's a two-pronged discussion. We have to focus on the inputs. What are we putting into our body in terms of cosmetics, skincare products, the foods that we're eating? Very important. And how are those foods interacting with the microbiome? So make sure you're eating healthy, microbiome healthy foods. Having fermented foods, olives, kimchi, sauerkraut, all of those things are going to be great and will help you ensure that you're having good microbiome health, because microbiome health is going to influence how you smell, because the smells that come from your body are usually from bacterial imbalances as well as potentially chemicals and hormone imbalances. So that's important. Put good inputs into your body. You only have one body, my friends. So that's important, but also detoxification. So sauna therapy has been a big part of my life since 2013. And when I made the choice to stop wearing deodorant and antiperspirants because you're supposed to sweat. You don't want to deter that process. Sweating is a form of detoxification. You want to get rid of that crap. You don't want to block, especially right here, my friends. This axillary area has tons of lymphatic system, drainage systems all around it. And you don't want to impede that drainage of stuff from your lymph. So stop wearing antiperspirant. If you smell bad, that is a clue. That's a symptom that something in your body is awry. Don't just mask it with deodorant. Okay? Use detoxification strategies, whether it's infrared blankets, infrared saunas, Finnish saunas, sweating, all of that is helpful. Okay. Let's get to some live questions here. Let's do that. How does that sound? Again, if you're here right now live and you're enjoying this content, hit that like button. What I'm going to do is get to the questions. Okay. Live chat. All right, we're going from the top. Going from the top, guys and gals. Hello, blood brothers. Love that. Okay. Burn says, never take omega-6 oils. Yes. Mike, what do you think high fat works for stress and women's hormones? Well, I think it's better to do a high protein diet. I know high fat got a lot of press, with keto and stuff like that. I think it's more important to focus on protein. I just do. So protein is important. Protein matters. And I would focus on protein and replace your carbs with fat to hit your macro targets for your ideal body composition. That's what I would suggest. Fever Dream says DeSantis or Trump 2024. DeSantis for sure. Trump is too controversial. Ellis McKinney says, I am in between keto, none wheat carbs. Feel pretty good and want to focus on more greens and protein. Been in the bathroom, model 3 tongues. Ellis, I'm not sure what your question is. Definitely focus on protein. Ash says, is acetyl L-carnitine safe? Totally safe. It's safe and effective. Yes, acetyl L-carnitine is safe and effective. It's expensive though. Truth be told, is there any added benefit to acetyl L-carnitine versus carnitine? Probably not. I would just focus on getting like an L-carnitine tartrate. Okay, Burn Hag says, I'm not Mike, but I know healthy fats will work when you cut out sugar and refined white potatoes and rice. Yes, you are correct. Okay. Bipolar mom and former adult probation officer says, love your channel. Thank you for that. Benfotiamine. Benfotiamine is a fat-soluble form of thiamine, which is helpful. Someone is commenting here. Burn says, 5-HTP helps with stress. All right. Good to know. Andrew M. says, is there a good blood test to determine calcium status? It seems that serum calcium goes way out of range when you're exceedingly low. So Andrew, yeah, serum calcium is a great way to measure calcium. So your Chem24 and CBC that we recommend by getting the blood work cheat sheet over at highintensityhealth.com has calcium as part of the Chem24. So definitely check it out. Now, your serum calcium does increase when you take vitamin D. So when people overdose vitamin D, their calcium increases. Okay, what are the benefits of the nicotine mints I bought from Myoscience? Well, Myoscience doesn't sell nicotine mints. That's a company called Knick Knack Naturals. So the benefits are focus, concentration, memory, and movement. So you could take this when you're reading or before exercise. Okay, Jenna was at the Sapien Center talk. Hydration came up a couple times. How much water do I need? I used to drink half a gallon. Now I drink when I'm thirsty because I don't need to pee out my electrolytes. Yeah, Jenna, that's a great question. So electrolyte status is important. I love pairing creatine with the electrolytes because it really does support healthy hydration, intracellular water. So that's cool. But people talk about half your body weight in ounces, So for me, it's about, 90 to 100 ounces a day. Now that increases if I go in the sauna or if you go in the sauna or if you exercise or depending on the season, if it's winter versus summer, you might need less water in the winter versus the summer. Fever Dream says, hello, Pure Bloods. Where are you at? All right. So there's more questions coming in about adrenal fatigue and fat, high fat diets. Again, I focus on protein, titrate the fat to meet your calorie macros. Having a bunch of fat with low protein is not a good idea. Monday, December 12th. Did I say Tuesday? I am sorry, Lena. Thank you for correcting me. All right. Neil, NMN, to take it or not? No, do not take it. NMN is a waste of money. It is so expensive and it doesn't even work. Don't take it. No problem. I take walks in the morning to help with stress, anxiety, and depression. Don't watch the news and try to limit your social media and stressful people. Amazing. Your mindset is so important when it comes to stress management. Right on. What is your D level? Yeah, a good vitamin D level is going to be around 65 nanograms per ml. 65. Vegan Life says my vitamin D is too high. Okay. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure if anyone asked this, but do you read people's blood work? I have the blood work masterclass for that, and then I do consulting. Yeah, I do. But the blood work masterclass is a group setting. It's really affordable, $67 to enroll. John Smith, can you break down studies on EMF? Electromagnetic frequency, so non-native EMF, cell phone, Wi-Fi, dirty electricity, this stuff matters. Don't put your iPhone near your testicles. Don't put your iPhone near your breasts if you're a woman. Turn your phone on airplane mode when it's in your pocket. Turn your circuit breakers off in your room and turn your Wi-Fi off when you're sleeping. That you can get an expensive EMF auditor to come to your house and do all this, but that's going to get you 95% of the way. Well, maybe 90% of the way there. All right. Could low fasting insulin be a sign of insulin resistance? Eva, no. Low fasting insulin is good. Most people that are insulin resistant tend to have a high fasting insulin, but a good way to determine this is actually to run a non-fasted insulin level postprandial. Have a meal that you frequently eat, test it in the post-meal window and see what happens to your insulin levels. I live in sunny Northern California, but the sun zenith angle just doesn't hit well this season. Should I take vitamin D supplements, even if my vitamin D levels are still in range? Well, if they're in range, maybe not, but depending upon where you live, you probably need to take supplements this time of year because the zenith angle, you're right, is probably not sufficient. Great question there. Trap God, here, Rawar, XD. Okay. Jaded Optimist says, anyone else starting keto for New Year's resolutions? I did mine from January to June 2019 and lost 65 pounds. Amazing work. I'd be curious to see what other people have said about that. Should I put Epsom salts in my cold bath? Yes, I would recommend that. I would. Good idea. Okay. Another question here. My fiance takes fish oil caps, prescription. I put 15 caps in warm water. After they dissolve, I put a magnet on the outside of the glass. Okay, I would not put the capsules in water. I would just eat them straight up. I would. In fact, you might even want to consider an enteric coated fish oil so that it doesn't get exposed to the hydrochloric acid and all that because the fats are absorbed in the small intestine. So I wouldn't put them in water. A great question or comment here from Liberty Not Licensed says, a lot of hormones and SSRIs in the water. Yes, municipal water has prescription drugs in it, my friends. This is absolutely insane, but it's true. So get a water filter. For sugar cravings, I take a scoop of glutamine. Interesting, Andrew. I don't know about that. But yeah, glutamine, there's benefits to it as well. That's an interesting thought. I honestly think berberine hydrochloride would work better, but if glutamine works good for you, give it a try. All right. Any opinions on marijuana use and health consequences? Yes, marijuana is not good for the brain. Marijuana is not good for memory. So I'm not a big fan of this, particularly smoking. Now, if you're going to do it recreationally, you can get a vaporizer so that you're not inhaling smoke. But marijuana is not good for the brain. I'm not a fan of it for that reason. Annabelle Redwood says, Mike, I've had 2 surgeries for skin cancer. I'm keto carnivore. I'm intermittent fasting most days. Anything from 15 to 20 hours. I get very emotional and stressed after surgery. Any advice? Mindset is going to be great after surgery. There's a lot of books about this. Herbert Benson has talked about this. You have to have a good mindset in terms of cancer recovery or recovery from any surgical procedure or major disease. So your mindset belief is going to be very important, as is, I think, more fasting, more exercise would be helpful. What machine do you use? I'm not sure what question this is referring to. What machine? With regards to exercise, what is that? Do you recommend NMN? If so, is it safe to take alongside DHEA? NMN and NMR, NAD, all these things, NR, they're so expensive, guys. I'm telling you, I'm not a big fan for the cost. Go exercise. If you want to change your intracellular redox status and mimic the interior, cellular environment that's associated with fasting, take berberine. It's $30. Why would you spend $100 a month? There's way more data on berberine. Go to the gym, lift weights, walk after meals. Raul says, what red light therapy are you using now? So I use the Juve light. I do like the Juve. It works. I don't use it every day. I have some clients that use it every day and swear by it. So, good question. Swamp Hawk is in the house. Swamp Hawk, what is going on? Thanks for being here. Anna says, how much sodium potassium should I put in my water for absorption? Is cream of tartar good for K? Anna, we built the electrolyte sticks to take the guesswork out of it. Okay, so you're getting 400 milligrams of potassium, you're getting a bioavailable form of magnesium, and plus you're getting creatine and taurine, all of which have been shown to improve cellular hydration and healthy hydration. So I don't know these makeshift things. I don't know about that. Also, what do you think of placenta therapy injections? There's a Japanese company selling placenta for anti-aging. Man, I would exercise and focus on sleep. I would. I really would. Whose placentas are these? Are these mothers that eat organic food and exercise? Are these people that don't use cosmetic and endocrine disrupting chemicals? Because those things get in the placenta. So if you know a healthy person that is delivering a baby and they want to give you their placenta, put it in capsules, but have the mom take it, not you. Okay? What about tanning beds and UVA, UVB in the winter? Yeah, I'm a fan of that periodically for sure, especially if you live in Canada. Okay, Eva says, thank you. You and your wife seem to be huge proponents of DHA. Do you recommend over 40? I keep hearing about hair loss associated with it, so I get concerned. Yeah, so Eva, this is a physiologic replacement. We're not talking about super physiologic levels of DHEA. So when you take DHEA, you shouldn't be overdoing it. Test to ensure that you actually need it. Okay, so that's important. Test to see that you actually need it. Is it safe to take berberine with DHA? Absolutely, no contraindications. In fact, we have a bundle DHA with berberine together. So I'm a big fan of that because actually there's research in UCLA by Steve Horvath that paired metformin, DHA, and growth hormone analogs together. So yeah, these can be used safely. Whole body vibration machine. I use a brand, blah, 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 supports lympho and it's relaxing. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. But also you want to move lymph? Walk. Walking is great. It's better to get outside and get fresh air as opposed to be inside on a machine. How do you drink more water if you don't like the taste? Buy Myoscience electrolyte sticks. They taste phenomenal. Put them in your water. They taste great. Plus you're getting creatine, you're getting taurine, you're getting red mineral salt, you're getting magnesium, potassium, and a little bit of calcium citrate. So, infrared sauna, any good? Yes, infrared saunas are great. They are great. Check out High Tech Health. High Tech Health. They make a phenomenal infrared sauna. Jacob Smith says, I find that nicotine decreases my sensitivity to caffeine. Possible similar mechanism of inhibition or action. Any thoughts? I'm not sure on that. I have found personally, I mean, everyone's brain chemistry is different, but pairing nicotine with caffeine is awesome in the morning. So for focus and so forth. All right. Joseph says, hey, Mike, I'm 22, currently taking vitamin D, ashwagandha, apple cider vinegar, and omega-3s. What should I add? Should I get blood work before taking DHEA? Joseph, at 22, you probably don't need to consider DHEA. I don't think so. But you never know. Test your blood work and see what comes up. What would I suggest adding? I think that sounds like a good plan. Do you need vitamin C all the time? Maybe, maybe not. How's your sleep? Are you taking creatine? Do you work out? I would consider creatine with electrolytes if you exercise. Roger says, hey, love everything you do. Until they agree with prioritizing protein. Where do you stand on protein powders? Protein powders can be a great way to supplement and increase your protein intake. Now, they're not going to replace whole food. If you could have whole eggs or yogurt or raw milk or meat, it's going to be better than protein powder. But for some people, having 1 or 2 meals is like, it's a lot for them. And so you might want to take protein around exercise, take a whey protein, grass-fed whey protein around exercise. That could be helpful. So, good question there. Any supplements while dry fasting? Thinking magnesium. Chris, why would you want to dry fast? Why? Why would you want to do it? I know these things get popularized on the internet. I'm just not. I don't see the value. I don't see any added value of dry fasting. But if you want to do it, fine. But it's not really dry fasting if you're taking magnesium, because you're gonna have to drink water, right, at some point. So technically, you're still not dry fasting. So yeah, support electrolytes, and that's fine. What else? Should I get tested for MTHFR? I often feel tired. Jaded, yeah, maybe. MTHFR, is it going to be related to fatigue? Maybe. I think knowing one's MTHFR status is more important for people with anxiety, depression, mental health issues, or for people who are planning on having a child, because MTHFR polymorphisms are involved in the etiology of autism and neurodevelopment challenges, midline defects, and things like that. So that's important. I'm going to get my a cable. I will be right back. Okay. What other questions do we have, friends? Let me know. All right. Okay. My mouse just died on me here. All right, what else? How do you get strong without getting big muscles? You can power lift. So powerlifting doesn't directly increase hypertrophy. So powerlifting, but why don't you want muscles? Why don't you want muscles? If you don't want muscles, then cut down on your carbohydrates, because muscles increase water retention. But I don't know why you wouldn't want to have muscles. Muscles are in, my friends. You should want to have muscles. Okay. Austin says, if you get brain fog, take sodium. If you cramp, you also need potassium likely. Palpitation, take potassium. Yeah, it seems like that's reasonable advice. Jacob Smith says, do you take any supplements for dopamine production? Do they work for you? I don't do anything for dopamine. I don't. You know what I do is I focus on sleep. I manage my stress. I exercise. I don't stay on screens too long. I get outside and get nature. That's how I focus on optimized dopamine. Okay. IPG12338 just gave us a super chat, $10. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Happy that this was helpful. Can you just, Audrey says, can you discuss the benefits of creatine on the brain? So creatine is involved in hydration, and it's mainly involved in energy production, especially short duration, high intensity energy production. So if you're thinking rapidly learning new tasks, creatine is involved in your brain health in that regard. So there's a lot of benefits showing that creatine use in elderly people have better memory and cognition and verbal recall. So you can get creatine from meat. You don't have to supplement it. You can eat animal-based products. You can eat red meat, smaller amount in lamb and chicken and things like that. But I'm a fan of creatine. If you're afraid of eating animals, you don't like animals, you're vegan and vegetarian, then supplement with it. But a lot of people don't realize this, but the electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, calcium, and particularly sodium are involved in creatine uptake. Okay. There's called the sodium potassium creatine transporter, and it's dependent upon electrolytes. So if you take creatine, you want to take them with electrolytes. And that's exactly why we made the electrolyte sticks, because it contains creatine and electrolytes together. Okay. Okay. Joseph says, what would you recommend for chronic constipation or IBS? I have a loved one who suffers badly from this, and they're already supplementing with psyllium fiber. So with constipation, I wouldn't take fiber. I would first focus on hydration. And also people that are constipated generally can have acetylcholine imbalances. And honestly, you could try nicotine as well, but making sure that they're not eating late, making sure that they're hydrated. Constipation can be simply fixed by just making sure someone's hydrated. Eat fermented foods with meals. That's another simple strategy that people can focus on as well. So yeah, great question there. Should I strength train during fasted? Sorry, that's hard to read. And how soon after do I need protein? No, strength train after you eat if you want to have a good workout. Too many people go to the gym fasted. You get a much better workout, friends, if you have a little food beforehand. Okay, you need to focus on having a good workout, not trying to be a fasting warrior. Most of the people that are fasting warriors are skinny. They don't have muscle. You need muscle. So eat something, then go to the gym and train as hard as you can. Okay, go to failure. It's good for you. Missy G says, Mike, what causes stomach cramps like the kind that feels like a Charlie horse? It's a good question. I mean, there can be gastrointestinal adhesions from adiposity. There can be from gut inflammation, intestinal permeability, all of that. I don't know the cause for every single reason why someone might have stomach pains, but I do know that eating things like wheat, corn, soy, if you're sensitive to those products, can be problematic. So avoid food allergens, especially if you are sensitive to them. Okay. Again, the big ones are wheat, corn, soy. For some people, it can be eggs. For some people, it can be pasteurized, homogenized dairy. So if you're prone to having cramps in the stomach and things like that, just don't eat those foods, my friends. Okay, so I see more comments coming in here. I really want to get to all of your questions, but I need to cook dinner for my daughter, my friends. So I appreciate you being here. Thanks for that like button. Be sure to join us next Monday, where we will continue to dive into your live questions. I will follow in the comments. So if I miss your question tonight, be sure to post it in the comments as soon as this ends. That way I can address that in the comments and then possibly feature that for next Monday. Have an awesome day. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for hitting the like button. I really appreciate all of you for being here live. Thanks for the super chats, and we'll catch you on a future one down the road. Have an awesome day.